I am someone who failed IIT JEE exam not just once but twice. I signed up for my coaching center. My parents put in their hard earned money.
People at IITs learn not inside the classroom but also outside the classroom. When they're competing, when they're collaborating, when they're debating, when they're under pressure, under stress. A few days ago, I was taking an interview of a candidate who did his MBA from INSEAD, and I asked him, what's the biggest failure that you've had in your life? And his response was that he failed to crack JEE at the age of 17. So, the kind of society that we come from, that exam has enormous value. This video is extremely important for anyone who has ever failed an exam called the IIT JEE. Approximately 3 lakh students appear for JEE every year, and almost 99% fail to qualify. To all those who fail, they are made to believe that they are setting up for a really terrifying life in future. Why? Because they failed the so-called extremely important exam in life. If you are from a tier 2 or a tier 3 Indian college, you are made to believe that you are setting up for a really terrifying life in future. Or are you? To be brutally honest, getting internships will not be easy for you. International MBA schools will discriminate against you. Top product firms will not even visit your campuses. Meta, Google, Microsoft, they will all reject your CVs. And for the deplorable souls, you will not learn anything from your part-time professors. Your 4 years? Gone. But is this your fault? No. None of this is your fault. You will be made to believe this by the society, by your family, by your friends. You will be told you are a failure in life. Why? Because of your own faults. But to be honest, none of it is your fault. It is ludicrous that the most important years of your life are decided by an exam you crack at the ripe age of 17. Such nonsense happens only in India and a few other similar economies. Millions of things could result in your failing that exam. Poor health in family to mental health traumas, to some extent absolutely no interest in mathematics or sciences at that age. 2 subjects that decide, define and dictate your caste hierarchy in the 21st century India. Should you be penalized for it? No. Listen to this carefully. You need 2 to 4 great years to really make a mark in history. In those 4 years, with right positioning, you could launch trillion-dollar businesses like Steve Jobs, create a political movement like Gandhi, and perhaps revolutionize physics like Einstein. None of them were engineers, by the way. Think about this. Mahatma Gandhi's glorious years came when he was well past his 50s. Steve Jobs had 3 to 4 great years in the late 70s and 2000s. Those years were enough for him to become a superstar in business. You do not know and will never know which of those 4 years are going to be yours. Let me say this again. It does not take more than 2 to 4 years of grit to achieve excellence in your desired skill sets. But it all starts with a great peer network, support system and role models. And at an early age, you get access to great network, support system, role models only at IITs in India, but not anymore. We are absolutely delighted to launch Alt IIT for India's dark horses, who are wrongly made to believe that they cannot strive for big leaps in life. Why? Because they failed an exam at the age of 17. But life won't be fun if you were to win all the battles you ever fought. Alt IIT is for you if you tried, failed, and are not scared of trying again. This podcast will give you a glimpse of Alt IIT and how you can bounce back in life. Alt IIT is co-created with some of the best industry experts, and these experts will not just skyrocket your career in future tech or coding, but most importantly, these experts will walk the journey with you. They will shape up the winning mindset through a beautiful, supportive community. So watch this podcast till the end and share it with those who might benefit. Because who knows, you might end up changing someone's life forever. So Shatakshi, this chart is going to be about Alt IIT. It's a fascinating name. What is it about? What's the story behind it?
Sure, Naman. So it is our second initiative after Global Governance Initiative. I am particularly very passionate, very dedicated, and very excited about it. If I were to just take my story a decade ago, I am someone who failed IIT JEE exam not just once but twice. I signed up for my coaching center. My parents put in their hard-earned money towards a coaching center, and I remember very excitedly joining that coaching class, only to realize in few months that I am not made for it. I remember just very disheartedly going to that coaching class for 2 years, only to see my results after 2 years that I couldn't crack IIT JEE. I took AIEEE exam and many other exams, and my name was not in the top rank in this country. As devastated as I was, I genuinely thought that I couldn't make it. I'm not ever going to make good in my career. As many people had said that IIT nikal lo to life set ho jayegi. As luck would have it, I signed up for St. Stephen's College, which is a liberal arts school, and I got really lucky because despite not joining IIT in this country, I was able to rub shoulders against few of the top leaders in corporate and society, earn a handsome salary, and start a social impact venture of my own. But I do realize that not many people could become as lucky as me. And hence we are starting a new venture called Alt IIT for all the dark horses who failed to crack the IIT exam at a tender age of 18 and fear that their career has already come to an end before they could start. So that's my story of Alt IIT, and there are of course a lot of details about why technology, given the fact that we have succeeded in running an alternative to international MBA and Plan B for UPSC through Global Governance Initiative. I have my answers on why technology this time, but I'll allow you to ask any follow-up questions or share your perspectives if you have any.
Of course, I think it's a fascinating thing because a few days ago I was taking an interview of a candidate who did his MBA from INSEAD, and I asked him, what's the biggest failure that you've had in your life? And his response was that he failed to crack JEE at the age of 17. So the kind of society that we come from, that exam has enormous value, and rightfully so. Millions of lives have been transformed because they had the access to education from right institutes. Sadly, there are only a few in number are not able to cater to large population that we have, and therefore perhaps it makes a lot of sense to provide high quality education access, high network education access to large swaths of people. And perhaps to keep that thing into perspective, Alt IIT makes a lot of sense. But given your story, you are an Alt IITian. You went to St. Stephen's, and that's a liberal arts school, like you rightfully mentioned. So why are you focusing via Alt IIT in technology domain and not in liberal arts domain?
It's a very good question, Aman, and you are right. I got extremely lucky in life, unlike many other students who are not able to get into St. Stephen's of the world or who are not even aware about St. Stephen's of the world. In fact, I think I got really lucky. My elder brother was the one who guided me correctly that if not IIT, she can apply for St. Stephen's. My family never knew about St. Stephen's LSRs of the world as well. But let me share a statistics with you. Approximately 15 lakh engineering students graduate from engineering schools in India, and only top 2 to 2.5% of the people get the top quality jobs. So the rest of the people did not get lucky like me, who could go to St. Stephen's College. That means that they're stuck in tier 3, tier 4 academic institutes. If they're really lucky, then Infosys and Wipro of the world is still coming to hire them. If they're not even that lucky, then few institutes are not even coming to hire them. Now, beyond the school students or beyond the college students, if you look at the ITS employees employed by NASSCOM, there are 4 million people employed by NASSCOM who are working in these IT employers like Infosys, Wipro, TCS, etc. After interviewing and talking to a lot of them, they also feel that they're not doing really quality jobs. That means that I genuinely believe that at scale, tech is an enabler for our country. So while till now we have been focusing and upskilling people for soft skills and business skills like management consulting, public policy, and product management via GGI, I also realized that those are niche roles, those are less in number. At a country level, I really wanted to disrupt education and we really wanted to create jobs. I soon realized it has to be in tech because that is where it is going to enable our workforce, that is what it's going to enable our country. And the sad reality is, we are not really upskilling them, and the saddest reality is we are not even upskilling them on future 2030 skills, which is going to be the focus area for Alt IIT. Just to also take a tangent here, in fact, Narayan Murthy, the founder of Infosys, many people may think that we are going to bash IIT because I couldn't clear it or because we are going to run Alt IIT. But the fact of the matter is, people who think beyond their echo chambers will realize that IITs are actually just an ecosystem. It's not even about upskilling, it's not just even about learning. And we will also talk about our curriculum at Alt IIT. The fact is, IITs are actually not teaching people the 21st century future 30 skills. They're indeed giving a very competitive ecosystem, a very collaborative ecosystem, but they are also falling behind in terms of the skills to teach. So I just wanted to share that Alt IIT is going to not just be an enabler at an ecosystem level, but of course will be an enabler at an upskilling level as well. I'm a huge believer that tech will continue to be an enabler for our workforce from exporting point of view, but also from advancing the growth story of India that we are all witnessing right now. So that's my answer on why tech.
Wow. And we also have Global Governance Initiative. And many IITians become part of Global Governance Initiative. Many folks from Yale to undergrad from Stanford, they all become part of GGI. How is GGI different from Alt IIT? And can IITians become part of Alt IIT as well?
Sure, I believe that's a very good question, and a question that I've already started getting queries on LinkedIn and many other platforms where we have already announced our inaugural batch for May for Alt IIT. So Global Governance Initiatives stand for soft skills, largely stand for business skills. It's an alternative to international MBA, MPP and Plan B for UPSC for development consulting, management consulting, public policy and product management role. Alt IIT is standing for future 2030 skills for tech roles, artificial intelligence, tech product management, so on and so forth. So at a starting level, we expect that the student needs to have some clarity at a goal level that, okay, I really like tech and hence I want to sign up for Alt IIT. You could be a student stuck without IIT at your college level. You could be a working professional in initial years without having that exposure of IIT. So if it's tech that you really want to advance in, especially in the era of OpenAI and ChatGPT, then you sign up for Alt IIT. GGI till now has been standing very strongly on business roles, and Alt IIT is all about tech roles. On your latter question, can IITians join Alt IIT? The short answer is hell yes, because like I said, IITs are falling little limited, and I'm sure they will also solve it in this sweet bit of time on curriculum and at a academia level. And that's why I think students are really smart enough to find out how to learn or how to upscale or how to find the right curriculum. But if a student from IIT Delhi or IIT Kanpur, and let me also share a story. I was talking to a student of IIT Delhi. In fact, he himself quoted that we don't really learn the advanced questions that come to us from Google and Amazon in the interviews in IIT. In fact, a leading student from Delhi Technical University who has cracked Amazon as well, who's been working with us, he also said that I am an electrical engineer at DTU and I have had chat with my computer science students at DTU. They are also not learning the skills that are needed to actually crack interview and succeed in the corporate roles. So IITians, of course, are always also welcome along with non-IITians at Alt IIT. We stand for an inclusive society, and that is what we would want to do at Alt IIT as well.
Okay, fascinating. So with GGI, it's very clear that, if you enroll in GGI, you are aiming to work with McKinsey or PCG or in product management roles or in impact investing, so on and so forth. These are usually the roles that are given to a post-MBA candidate. What kind of roles would someone graduating from Alt IIT get? What kind of roles would you be training them to achieve?
Sure, that's a very good question, because we need specificity, and even need specificity. So in phase 1 of Alt IIT, we are focusing on Future 2030. So just to actually give a little context, when I was in BCG, we did a public project, and it's publicly available in the domains. We did a project with NASSCOM, World Economic Forum, LinkedIn, etc. on the Future 2030 skills. In fact, that project enlightened my horizons about soft skills and tech skills both. And few of the tech skills that stood out in that research for 2030 rules was artificial intelligence or tech product management. So the number one criteria is going to be around Future 2030 jobs, around artificial intelligence, tech product management. So in phase 1, that is what we are focusing on. I really do not want to do everything and end up doing nothing. We are very clear that we are going to pick 3 roles and really upscale our first batch and many other batch of students in terms of getting them a job. So that's the specificity that we are hitting in phase 1 of Alt IIT.
Makes a lot of sense. So one thing I absolutely love about IITs, basis my discussions with professors and associate deans of various IITs, is the kind of ecosystem and community that IITs have been able to design. People at IITs learn not inside the classroom but also outside the classroom. When they're competing, when they're collaborating, when they're debating, when they're under pressure, under stress. So community plays an incredibly important role for IITians. What kind of communities do you envisage for Alt IIT? Do you have any such methodology in mind? Would you be focusing on communities, or would you be just focusing on providing hard skills?
Sure. I believe, Raman, your question has the answer in itself. As founders of Global Governance Initiative, we have realized the power of having strong communities, and most importantly, collaborative communities, not competitive communities. And you're absolutely right. I genuinely believe that if you make 1 million people run a race, irrespective of what the race is, if you are just going to handpick 1,000 people out of that 1 million race, those 1,000 people are going to be extraordinary. Why? Because they were competitive, they were hardworking, so on and so forth. In fact, I was talking to one of the CEOs on my CEO Diary podcast, and he also said that India needed those hardworking people at the time when Jawaharlal Nehru, in fact, sowed the seeds for IIT. India still needs them, but India needs much more than that. So coming to your point around community and employment partnerships are going to be the second and the third pillar over and above upskilling. I genuinely believe in the world of internet, upskilling is frankly freely available. Of course, we'll help them. In fact, that's going to be the core. There are going to be 8 master classes, and students are going to delve into those master classes, such as around artificial intelligence, tech product management, system design, fundamentals of coding, and for example around your SQL, data structures and algorithms as well. But what's going to be really most important about Alt IIT is going to be its community. It's that community that the non-IITians missed out on in their life. It's the community because of which they do not have that second successful or third successful job that an IITian has. What would an IITian or a Stephanian or an ISB folk will do if he or she is frustrated with the job, is not getting a job? They will write on LinkedIn to their fellow alma mater and say that, hey, we are looking forward to contribute in your venture. And people have that tribe value, that let me help out this or that person. And I think in this country, if there is one institution that has cracked it beautifully than any other, it's IIT. And I would say the second one is GGI. I would say the third one is going to be Alt IIT, because there are scientific principles on game theory that suggest that when people collaborate net they both add value, and that's going to be the second and the third most important pillar of Alt IIT as well.
Fantastic. Who is eligible to apply? I'm done. I would want to be part of Alt IIT. So in that scenario, what should my profile look like? And if I were to apply, what should I keep in my mind? What's the eligibility criteria?
Sure, it's a good question. I have largely 4 profiles in my mind who will be good fitting for Alt IIT. If you're beyond these 4, then I would not suggest you to apply at this stage. Number 1, it's certainly for those people who are stuck in their life, who are stuck in their career, who are stuck without any community because they couldn't crack IIT at a tender age of 18. And they are either studying in Tier 2, Tier 3 and many other academic institutes. Point number 2, it is for those who want to pivot in artificial intelligence, tech product management and software development roles in product firms like Amazon, Google, Meta, etc. Point number 3, it could be for latter stage of school students as well, who are almost at the cusp of entering their academic institutes. And point number 4, which is my favorite, that you are a budding tech entrepreneur but you don't know anything about tech, you feel crippled without the knowledge and the scaling of tech, Alt IIT will come to your rescue. I can imagine that Naman and I are both non-tech founders, and we spent immense amount of time upskilling ourselves, and we know the burden of that. So if you're a non-tech entrepreneur and you want to upskill yourself, you could join Alt IIT as well. So those are the 4 specific profiles that we are catering to at this stage. If you are not fitting in any of these, I would suggest save our time. We want to create winning horses from those dark horses. We do not want to take anyone and everyone and not do justice to your time, your hard-earned money, and our time and our hard-earned money as well.
Okay, brilliant. So when will you start with the first cohort?
We are launching our first cohort. In fact, the initial enrollments have already started coming in. I fear that we will have to close the enrollment really soon. We are planning to have just 39 people in the initial cohort. In fact, it's little more than what I had thought in mind, and it's going to be in May 2023. I will be there, Naman will be there for our inaugural batch as well, to answer all your questions, to answer or just help you settle in as well. We handhold. In fact, we are popularly infamous in GJ for handholding a lot more than what should be required. At the same time, I want to say something. I was talking to one of my friends from BCG, and he was talking about a very famous coaching class in New Delhi. And we were talking about the number of physics classes he took before his IIT Delhi in 2 years. Naman, let me ask you a question. How many do you think he took classes for physics in 2 years?
Approximately 250?
20. I was surprised. And I asked him, I was shocked. I took 250 classes in my coaching class. I couldn't crack IIT. He took 20 classes of physics for 2 years and he cracked IIT. And then we debated and discussed, and we realized that the answer lied in doing pre-work before your classes, doing post-work before your classes. Most of the successful people are the ones who actually sit alone and spend in the hours, who are not going to say that, hey, Shatakshi, Naman, or anyone for that matter, be it Stanford, be it MIT, be it IIT, is going to lead me towards my dream role. People who achieve the best of the best learning outcomes are the ones who are going to be putting those extra hours when nobody is watching, when nobody is controlling them. So that is going to be the ethos at Alt IIT as well. While we will be there to help, while we will be there to support, we are looking for self-motivators and self-time takers as well, who can actually invest in their upskilling, and we are going to be, of course, there to help as well.
So will these sessions be recorded or will these be live? What's your take on that?
We are going to be completely live, Naman. In fact, that's the only model that I know that has succeeded in terms of helping people succeed. There are challenges when people go through recorded lectures. I think self-motivators do a very good job at the recorded ones. So it's going to be 80-20, 80% of it will be live, 20% will be recorded. The 20% will make sure that at their own time, even if an Alt IIT class is not taking place, they can do their pre-work and they can do their post-work as well. But it's largely going to be live, interactive, on the weekends with a very diverse community.
Fantastic. And so IITs are very inexpensive. What about Alt IIT?
It's a very good question. In fact, I would say that we are going to be less than 1% of the cost of IIT, less than 1% of the cost of MIT, Stanford. I think for Stanford and MIT, we are going to be less than 0.1%. So I'll be very candid. We are going to be over discounting for our first batch. If I were to be extremely transparent, I fear that we are going to be burning a lot of money for the first 2 years, but I'm more than happy to do that to make the intended impact in the society. To justify the sustainability of the organization, we will have no choice but to eventually increase the price. But for the initial cohort, the price is heavily subsidized. It's less than 1% of what our competition charge, 3 lakhs, 7 lakh, in fact, upwards of 9 to 10 lakhs as well. And the objective is to make an impact, and I welcome you all.
So, any closing remarks, any questions that you would want to address for your own self? Off to you.
Sure. No, I think, Naman, fantastic list of questions kind of push me towards the wall and help me think hard as well. We are in as much process of figuring things out as everyone else as well. The objective is to help as much as possible, first through GGI, now through Alt IIT. We, of course, have a lot of interesting plans across our way to really disrupt in our own small way the Indian education ecosystem. So with Alt IIT, without Alt IIT, thank you so much for listening till this stage, if you were listening to our pod till now. And we are here to help in as much fashion as we can. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Thank you so much. All the very best.